Okay everybody, today it's a watercolour, it's a heron, it's on a post, it's in the marsh. Let's roll that intro and let's see how we get on. Hi everybody and welcome back to the painting channel. Today is a watercolour. It's all about a heron on an old gatepost in the middle of Old Marshes in Kent. Now before we get into that, I just want to say that I really wanted this to be a faster painting, although I never seem to be able to make that happen as hard as I try. I do want to get into doing a whole series of birds in the quick and easy series of paintings that I've been doing, and I will get around to doing more of those over the forthcoming months. But this one I know is a little longer, but I wanted to do it this way because it was all about the background, the contrasts and the warms and the cools, and about layering, and also moreover about the bird itself and how it sat within the composition on the painting, using the rule of thirds quite usefully in this case. So before I go any further, let me just say, if you do enjoy this video and if you enjoy other videos of mine and you're not a subscriber, then please consider subscribing to the channel. It really doesn't cost you anything, but it does help me grow my channel and reach so many more people. You're enjoying this, so it would be nice to allow as many people in the future to enjoy these videos as well. So please hit that subscribe button, click on the bell icon, and it will tell you each and every time I upload a new video. And by all means comment, because as I said, I am trying to do more of these videos. So if you like bird paintings, if you like to learn more about how to paint birds in watercolor and in oil, let me know in the comments section below. That'd be fantastic. I answer each and every video, every comment that comes on each and every one of my videos, is what I was meant to say. But in the meantime, also just thank you to all my existing subscribers. And if you do want a lot more, then there is always a Patreon channel. I do have my own Patreon. It's been going a little while and it is growing. There is an awful lot more content on there. There's a lot more full-time, real-time videos, both in oil and in pastel, and mainly in watercolor. So if you would like to get a lot more of that, then please pop on over there and check it out. There's several tiers you can get involved with. It doesn't cost an awful lot to do either, but you can get involved with it and get so much more. I will say, however, that the majority of the videos that you will see in the future will be either oil or watercolor, as they will be oil and watercolor on my YouTube channel. I am sort of condensing down. As much as I love painting all these other mediums, I feel that I need to sort of concentrate on maybe one or two mediums for you out there, so you can come back time and time again and get something new from it. So in the meantime, I am rabbiting on, and I don't mean to do that, but please, hopefully you'll get something from this. And as I say, the reference also for this will be on my Patreon. You don't have to be a patron, just download that. As long as you're using it to learn from, more than happy for you to download it and have a go at this project yourself and see how you get on. But also, you get so much more if you are a patron. Well worth checking it out. In the meantime, let's look at this video. Let's get on and talk about a heron on a post on the marsh. Take care everybody. Catch each and every one of you in the next video. Take care for now. Stay safe. Bye bye. Hi everyone and welcome back. Now I would have called this a quick and easy bird had it just been for the heron, but because I'm doing all of the fencing and all the background to this in this watercolor, I don't think it's going to be as fast as maybe I'd hoped. That all said and done, the drawing itself took around about 15-16 minutes to do, and there's one or two areas that have been erased and redrawn. But I didn't want to take all the time out the film trying to show you all the drawings, so I simply did the sketch, got it prepared ready for painting, so we can dive straight in with the paint and crack on. Now this one is a place called Old Marshes in Kent. Lovely place for birders, and it's got such a diversity of habitat and bird life, as well as small mammals and one or two other things to boot. It's also a great place if you like to see some boating as well out in the estuaries. So I do plan on keeping my colours nice and cool with the bird and the fence, and they will contrast nicely with a really lovely warm and green in the background. The sky, I actually think I'm going to leave it. I'm tempted to put a very, very faint grey stain to it. I probably will, and then I'll bring that down, and I will bring the washes down past all of this and try and leave out areas of this in here. We'll see how we go. And I should be using a bigger brush than that one. I didn't pick up the right size, so let's go back in and choose something with a little bit more grunt to it, something like this one. This is a Rosemary. It's a number 14 red dot. It's one of their new synthetic rounds. Beautiful brushes they are. They really are mimicking the sables. Now you can see I've got some quite dirty water. Not a big problem. The amount of water in there is not going to make a big difference to anything. I'm going to put a little bit of blue into that and lots of water, and there should be enough just to bring that stain that I spoke of into the top end of this painting here, and just bring it slowly down. And this is predominantly a bit of blue, but mainly just dirty water, believe it or not. There's quite a bit of pigment in there. I may go and change it in a moment, but that works quite nicely for now. And I'm going to put in some burnt sienna into that. Let's keep that, it's quite wet, and we're using 300-pound paper, so that's not an awful problem. It just keeps the paint moistening. So let's bring that down. Let's just give that a little bit of darker colour. We'll go back into some more sienna, a bit more cobalt into that, maybe a bit more cobalt there. We're just going to look in and drop this colour in and down as we go down past the bird itself. Bring it further and further. Try and cut in neatly around the bird, because that way we can preserve some of the highlights, like so. I like that. Just leave that to the top of the beak. Take that off. Be very, very careful. Just a little bit around there. That's fine. I've gone into the beak, but the beak is darker, so that really isn't a problem. Now I'm going to drop in just a subtle bit of some Venetian red and a little bit of burnt sienna. Just going to drop that in. Nice little area there. Just pop that in. And that red with these blues that we put in further on are really going to work in our favour. I need to be careful that I do not come in here and wreck any of those lights. I'm going to drop that through there like so. And that's the good thing about having a wonderful point to your brush, is to have some, you can get a big chunky brush going, but at the same time you've got the volume when you need it, and you've got a lovely point when you need that. So now I'm going to come in with a little bit more of the green. I'm using some yellow ochre, and to that I'm putting in some of the cobalt turquoise, which is quite nice. I'm going to drop that in and bring that down further there. Just keep that bead running. And do the same on this side. Just let that come carefully down the back end of the bird. And I'm using my little finger as a rest, as a guide. You can see that there. I sort of got it there, and it keeps my brush and my hand a certain distance away from the paper as I move forward and bring this down. So hopefully this won't take too long to do. Not as far as we're concerned here. I'm going to put in, I think I'm going to put in some Naples Yellow. Now mine's a little bit dirty. I'll just clean that off a little bit. Let's come in with some nice Naples. It's an opaque colour, but it will just put a flush of paler colour through here as we come down towards these fences. So we're almost painting in bands of colour, but all the time the bead is slowly going to the base of the painting, base of where we're working. As long as I don't let that dry up on me, we're fine. Putting in a darker turquoise now, and I'm going to touch in some raw sienna to that. That gives me a grubby green, for want of a better term. Just a really nice darkish green. Bring that down through here. We have got to put a few separate lights going into there, but having this slightly darker in the background really will work for me. Now to that same green, I'm going to put that green over here, make another puddle, and I'm going to put some nice cadmium yellow to that. And that gives me a more acidic colour green, but fresher. As we're coming down towards the bottom of the bird and around the top of the fence here, I can put this lovely fresh green colour in, and that will cut all the way in around there, under there, and down past the feet. If the feet get if I go through the feet, it's not a big problem because the feet are darker than everything else. Let's just do that and prove that point. Take the paint all the way through, nicely up to there, around this post, cutting in as we go, like that. And this is where I'm starting to be a little bit more careful. Just take that colour into there, drop that colour in, drop that into there, make a few variations, and I'm holding the brush quite low down just to give me a little more control. And we've got that green that runs all the way down through there and up to the side of that post, across the top, down there, and let's take that out through there. Now I took a little longer to do, and I almost caught a cold there, almost lost that, but we didn't. That's a good thing, we didn't lose it. So I'm going to bring that down here now, just give that shape to there. Take that, drop a little bit of colour, and I'm dropping neat colour in as I go now. I'm going to put a bit of phthalo green in. That's quite a strong and aggressive green. Putting a little bit of burnt sienna to that, and that will vary the marks again. Bring that down, cut it around this post like that. Take it off, and we've got these lovely little bands of colour building up in our painting. A little bit of dark on this side. Let's look to see that post is there. Take that sharply down on the side, and like that. Now as we come down, I want to leave a few little lights if I can. What I could do, and this is what I might do actually, and it is good to plan, unlike me and just change my mind halfway down. I'm going to use some Naples Yellow and a bit of yellow onto one side, and I'm just going to bring this flush of light down like this. Now it will have to have another value over the top, because I would like to put some little bits of flower in. So I'm going to try and break some of this up as it comes down. And I'm going to do the same on this side. Just use a little bit of dry brush, a little bit of license there to bring that down that post through there, and just break up and leave one or two little patches of light in a fairly light background. I'm trying hard not to lose all the various bits of drawing or marks on white paper. So I've not left as much as I'd like through there, but not a problem. I'm just going to leave a few more here, just tap around and leave white paper like that. Bring that down through there, make that have a soft transition that will mirror this plane coming through there, so we have that transition of light and dark and green through the back end. And through the bottom here, let's just bring in one or two more areas and leaving areas of white. Now I'm scratching, I'm scribbling. This is a whole heap of fun. Not too much water on the brush, but just a lot of scribbling. And you are almost drawing bits of grasses in, and you're going to build on those further on. But for the moment, I'm just literally leaving bits of white and other little bits and pieces that will just give indications of something else. Maybe a little bit of yellow in there just to freshen it up, a little bit of the sienna mix coming through there. I don't want to make it regimented. I don't want to make it all the same. We're not painting soldiers in line. We are trying to make this as a random a pattern and form and shape as we can. I'm not even worried about leaving specific lengths of mark. I'm not really worried about that at all. I just want to leave little touches of white purposely through there, and that really is quite nice. Now I'm going to come in here when it's dry and add a bit more in, because that wasn't heavy enough through there, and I really would like it. And there's a sense of this going up and around the bird's head, which I'm not too pleased with that. So I'm going to let this dry off and then we will come back. I've just seen before I do finish that, I actually haven't done anything in here. So let's just address that very, very quickly. Let's just put in some of those lovely greens that we can see through the fence. That's rather foolish, but there you go. We will remedy that very, very fast. Just a little slither of colour through there. Maybe a little bit more Naples Yellow as this comes down. More fluid to it. It's not as much water, not as much strength in the pigment as we come down to this level. And a little bit through there. Trying to, and again, it's not the fact that the grey will be tinted so much by the greens, but I'm trying to leave just a little bit of light on some of this woodwork so that when we do come to finish up, we have got it about where we need to, and leaving a little bit of highlight in one or two places. Okay, now that is all solid. That's done. That's done. Lift a little bit out of there. That's not a problem. Okay, it is all dry now. Pretty much, I think we haven't got too much to worry about. Now, I like what's happened so far. What I would like to do now is come in with a second wash and make some of these areas deeper, stronger, and more vibrant, leaving some of these lights through here and adding some of the fresher greens through here and here in a little area, and then we can bring back and we can capitalize on some of these areas. So to that end, let's go back in. We've got a lovely sort of dirty brown color, and that is got to be said to the paint. So I'm going to go and just clean my water and then come back. Okay, so we've got this sort of dull brownish color that I spoke of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally come in with a bit more blue, and I'm going to come in with some Venetian red, or Indian red, not Venetian red, Indian red, a little bit of yellow ochre, raw sienna, a bit more blue. I'm going to see how that looks. I think we shall have a nice bit of dark coming through the top end of this field like that, and it's going to allow for some of the other colors to work up on top. Now I'm going to drop that down. I'm going to add a bit more water to that now, so let that come down with a bit more water around the bird's head. Once again, just being very, very careful now that we don't encroach over the head too much at all. Take that down, just a little tap off there. I've got a little bit close, I think. Take that off there, that's fine. Take that through there. There's a little bit of blue crept in there, which is not bad at all. And to that colour, I'm going to add some Indian red, a little bit of, sorry, that one, a little bit of orange into there. Make that a little stronger, a little bit more orange, a bit more vibrancy into there. Tap that into the back of the bird, like that. Now, because I've lost the top of the bird's head, and I can see that I will have to come back in with just a little bit of body colour. It's not a big deal. I come across here now and put some freshness in there. Look at how strong and vibrant that can be. Like so. Taking that on, and I'm going to put a bit of dark green in the form of phthalo green, but I don't like it on its own, so I'm going to add a little bit of red to that. So phthalo and the red, I'm just going to bring that through there. Touch more water. It's just a bit too dry brush, if I'm honest. We're not trying to necessarily do a wash, and while I've got that top section, I want to just come in with a bit of blue, a little bit of ultramarine blue, and I just want to suggest some of these shrubs up in here, but very, very soft. So I'm just going to put that in, bring that down, maybe a little darker, maybe a little dirtier as well, a bit of blue and a little bit of Indian red into that. That's better. Now there was or is a tree on this side. I'm not putting that in. Just want to bring that across there and let that come down into that space, and just put one or two other sort of shrubs and trees off into the background there, just to give that a bit of form and distant form like that. Just break up the edges, and that goes off into the sky quite nicely, and hopefully that will all go and settle down into its own places in the background. But before we lose all our edges and we start getting hard edges in places, and it's very, very close to that in one or two, let's just carry on down, bring that down through there. We don't really want it drying up on us too much. A bit more green, a bit more of the red into that green, and let's just bring that into the really strong dark in there, a little bit of a dark accent through there to that part of the bird, to that area there. That's fine. Now we're going to come back, and I'm going to use a lot of water. I just want to dampen off some of that so that it starts to blend in what we already had there. Take that edge while it's nice and wet still. Use a bit of water, dampen it off into your rag, into your hand, and just take that off like that. Leave white paper, don't leave white paper. It's entirely up to you at this point. But I just want to soften into there. So we've got that lovely sense of light there, and we've got that difference and differential in the background, in this middle ground here, coming down into some of the lights into the foreground, and that's working quite nicely. Now we can leave what's on here now. I hope it won't cause any awful blemishes. I'm just going to literally run that through there, and almost, if you want to be totally sure, take almost just a little bit of dry towel. You're going to leave a mark if you're not careful. I'm not too worried about it. That's fine. Now I'm going to come in, and I want a fresher green. So now I'm going to be using one of these nice turquoises. I've got 3 of them. Now add some of these to my yellows. I'm going to mix that. It's a little bit dry, that paint. Let's just work into it a little bit. Pick up a little bit. There we go. And for that I'm going to use some Indian yellow, just to make it fresher. And if you want something that's a little bit more electric, let's just clean that out. Clean that palette out. Let's come back in and do the same thing. Let's come in with this turquoise, really quite a vivid turquoise, lovely colour. And we can put some aureolin into that and see how fresh that green is made. Look at that. Lots of different greens working on now. So we come back in, put a bit more green into that one. And let's just put in some darks and areas into this area through here. Let's just vary these marks. Now I've changed the way I'm using my brush. Same brush. I'm just mixing up some of the greens, and I'm just making a few statements, not totally obliterating all the colour underneath. Just bringing them down, and less as they come down into this foreground. So we just created a new line of sort of growth running through here, and we can carry that on through here as well. Just make 1 or 2 references to that, and of course repeat some of that in there and under there, maybe 2 in there, and certainly between there. Okay, and we can add some dark ones in. And I'm sort of making some sort of scratchy marks again. A little bit more fresh colour green. Maybe a little darker in there. and we're starting to suggest sort of the marshy ground. That's what I'm trying to evoke the feeling of, that we've got these lovely marshy reeds and grasses and stuff that are sort of just growing however they wish to, as nature intended, as it were. Just bring some darks into, and dropping colour into colour, dropping darks into lights, and like that. Little bits of light we can carry on. We can bring some of these grasses and make them less and less as they go away. Don't need to put too much out there. It's enough to suggest, and we don't need to actually create, we just suggest. Now I'm using some of the lights as I'm working into the negative spaces. So I'm literally coming back in, tapping this way with that lighter green, and suggesting that some of these grasses can be seen, and some of these that are going up this way are now forming the tops of grasses. Just coming in here, just add 1 or 2 areas more into here, make a few more suggestive marks as I've done on this side. I like the way that's going, that's all good. 1 or 2 there, just to pretend we're carrying that idea on and over and through the gate, so that it looks like there is a continuation of that thought. And I am going to play around with the same idea now, with the different greens, different darks, different lights, maybe a different green here with some yellow ochre in it. You can vary your mixes. So many different mixes you can make to make a green. And there is another video which I will put a little marker up for, that you can go to. I've got 2 actually, one where I use the greens in a painting just to show you how I'd mixed some in the previous video, and also the video before that that describes all the different greens that I can mix with colours. And in fact now that needs upgrading, because I have actually a few more colours on my palette and I can actually mix more. But there's certainly enough mixes there in that other video for you to look at, glean something from, and move forward. Now I'm just mixing this up a little bit. I'm just playing around, tapping in heads of grasses, little bits, and I'm not coming through other areas. I will do. Just want to just tap in the feeling that we've got these lovely, I'm going to put in a few bits of violet in through here as well. So I'm going to put some blue and some lovely quinacridone rose, a bit more violety, just giving that a little strength through here, just dropping in 1 or 2 bits and pieces that will, these violets here that are left, those that you identify as violet further on once it's all dry, will help sort of balance up with that lovely fencing. So that's the idea of just pumping in a little bit of the violety colour while we can. So lots of different greens now happening, lots of different marks that I'm making. I want to make some of these marks a little wetter, just as they're coming through. I'm trying hard not to eradicate all the lovely colours underneath. I'm just trying to give a sufficient feeling. A little bit more water coming in just to mix up some of those, like so, and 1 or 2 areas up in here, a little bit more down here, and obviously these are a lot closer, but in my photograph they're actually out of focus, so they give an interesting effect which we can capitalize on with our own painting. And where any little bits of white paper still show through, that's a bonus, no problems with that at all. And just adding in just some flicks now, and I'm also going to add in some raw sienna, a little bit of Indian red to that, a little bit more watery. Just going to pump in a few suggested like seed heady type things that are running into there, a little bit of extra colour, just mixing it all up like that. Now we can come back in and we can mix up a little bit more orange and a little bit of Indian red, a little bit of that violet into that, dirty it up, And now we can just put in a few of these little seed heads that are through this area. Lots of them, little thistles and bits and pieces. Try not to go mad. See, there's a piece gone right up there which I will get rid of, and one there. I don't really want them that high, just want to keep it fairly localized, and gives you some beautiful little effects in here. Maybe one or two up in here too, but not that high up. And once again, let's just tap those out of the equation. We don't really want stuff up there, but certainly we can put them in this area quite extensively. And if we want to make them stronger yellow, easy done. Let's come in there, let's just put a bit of yellow with that mix, and let's just add some yellow ones in. A little bit more water, maybe not too much. Gently as you go. You can soon do too much of this. I just like the way that this sort of creates a beautiful set of colour and marks into the foreground, mix of flowers. Okay, I want to add to that, I can do later on, but I think we've got enough going on at the moment. I will just, however, tap in one or two more purple, a bit more cobalt blue. Let's just tap in one or two little bits of blue in there, just to, in fact, I could actually add some of that blue as splats as well. Just gives an extra little bit of energy, but I want to get rid of some of these. One or two I missed, but there we go, not a problem. Okay, so we're pretty much done. I'm going to dry this off, and then we can come back in, we can do our bird, and we can then do the fencing, and hopefully that'll be the end of it. Okay, so now what we've got this lovely fawn colour at the top here, and by putting that blue violet in the background, it gives that lovely contrast and a nice sense of light in the sky, but it's not the white paper. I think the white paper, had I left it like here, it would have been too much, too stark. By just knocking it down a little bit with that almost dirty water, actually makes it work very, very well. Now the rest of this is done and it's all dry, so I'm going to work on my bird now. Now what I will say also is that a lot of this is middle tone, apart from these lighter areas through here, which there are in the photograph. Not a problem with any of that, but the generalized feeling is this is mid-tone. This is not dark, not light. Maybe a little darker up here, but around here is middle tone. The reason being that a lot of this fence is going to be much darker. It needs to stand out. The bird too will be much darker. Had I made everything too dark, it wouldn't have shown up so well. So, okay, what colours do we want? Well, we're predominantly in the blue area. We're in the cool areas, some darks. So there's going to be a lot of indigo happening, which is my favourite blue to mix. But I won't keep it just blue. I will add into that some Indian red to one side, so we get that sort of reddy, dirty, dark colour. It makes a great dark. You can actually get other darks much more easier. I feel that that's quite a cool dark in many regards. You can actually put in some ultramarine blue. This is actually the wrong ultramarine blue. This is ultramarine violet. I put the wrong ultramarine into my pan. Never mind. I can't do a lot about that. I just realised it's the wrong one. Never mind. We're going to put into that, we can put into that some nice sienna, burnt sienna, and that really mixes that up. Now we've got a very big brown, but let's come back in, put some more blue to that, and I'm going to put a bit of cobalt in to help that. But we come back to a nice dark colour, and we can make it a lot darker than that. If we use some real darks, if we use some indigo, which is a transparent blue, if we use to that a transparent red of sorts, maybe this quinacridone, which makes a very, very powerful deep purple colour, like so. But then if we use, say, an Indian red, an Indian yellow into there, now we're going to make a dirty, grungy but we're going to get close to dark. By using these transparent colours, we get close to a black. Very dark, very blackish colour. That's if we need that. I doubt if we will, but you can see how 3 primary colours in transparent will make a black. If you used opaque colours, you won't do that. I'm going to do a video on that at some point, just to sort of run through that with you. I'm going to come in now and I'm mixing up another colour. Mainly it's cobalt with a little bit of the ultramarine violet in there. And I'm just going to come straight in onto the chest of my bird like that. Let's bring it down and to that nice edge. I want to put in a bit of cerulean blue. So, or in this case, yes, this is actually thalocyanine blue. It's probably a favourite blue of mine, great for skies, mixed with cobalt. So I just want to put in a touch of that through there. Not too wet. I just want to suggest that up into the face, because this side of the bird is in a lot of shadow. There we are. And we're going to bring that down. Quite happily we can bring that down through the wing. Maybe a little bit more of that phthalo blue. We can bring that down into this area of the bird, giving it that lovely shadow look. We don't need to worry too much. What I do want to do is maintain a level of light through there. Around to that end, I need to have some more of that phthalo, just some pure phthalo. Bring that down into the face there. I'm going to let that, don't forget this will dry up a lot lighter, so don't worry too much. I'm going to bring that down, and I want to leave that lovely light colour down the back of the bird. Okay, lovely. I'm going to bring that down, 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 down. I'm going to let that settle out around here, and leaving that nice light on the back of the bird. That's quite important. Okay, so what I want to do now is bring in almost non-existent. I just want to put in a touch of that quinacridone and a little bit of red into that. And the red I use is a vermilion. Just want a very subtle pink. That's almost too much. Just come in, almost wash off the brush. Just a sense of that lovely light there. Now I've lost a little bit there. I lift that. I may come back in with a bit of body colour right at the end, just to touch that in there, but hopefully may not need it. When that's dry, I'm going to come over with a stronger blue value, and that blue colour will be almost certainly pure thalocyanine blue. Let's just bring that down through there, see if we can make that happen. And before I go any further, this is a bird in sort of layers, being done in layers. Take that down through to the top of the head and into the beak. Now I can, if I want to, drop colour in while it's still wet and let it bleed and blend. Got to be careful with that, because I can soon lose it over the back ends. I'm going to stop short and see how far that pushes itself before it stops moving. Turn it all the way down through to there, down to the tip. Suddenly getting a lovely feeling for this bird. I'm going to take that around to the shoulder like that. And a little bit more dark into there. I'm going to let that now settle down and do what it wants to do. Let it just dry up and do what it wants to do. It's going to dry a lot lighter, but we will come back onto that. Okay, now let me come in with a lighter version of the fence grey. I'm going to use a bit of cobalt now, a little bit of Indian red, and I'm going to come down the majority of all the faces of the fence, and it will be done in a couple of layers. And I'm just going to forget where certain parts are. Just don't want to lose those light areas, so let's just take that across there, take that down to that point there, and looking at the face, a little bit of light at the top coming down. Take that down through the side where the ironwork is, take that all the way down, and it will start using a little bit of the negative space to put that into the grasses. Taking this down here, making sure we've got nice crisp whites where we need them, and take that there, and then we can come through here. Now this is where I've got to start looking at where bits go and where bits don't go. I don't think we have any light running through, so I can actually feel comfortable taking that all the way off there like that, and that part of the fence is sorted out. We can come back right underneath there to that one, take that down through here as well. Like that, take that all the way down there, and that again will start disappearing into the grasses. Now don't forget, this is really only putting in or suggesting to you the lighter areas of our fencing. I think I've got a dark mark up there, I just splattered that. Get rid of that. Nothing worse than spoiling your picture with a silly mark you hadn't intended at this late stage, so just be aware of things in that fashion. Take that all the way down now, nice edge to this post. We are going to make this one a bit darker on this side, I think, but how dark we don't know quite yet. Just going to take it down like that, and we're going to come down this side. We're going to get that nicely against that area there, down, 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 down. We can come through all of these posts, but what we can't do is go through all of this area, and this has got a slightly more red feel to these posts, and this certainly at the top, so I'm going to bring that through there, a little warmer. Come back into our blues, take that down. That's a nice top to that round post. But then what we have to do is we've got a little bit of a shadow through there. We've got the edge of that round bar there, and it then carries on down to the next one, and then we've got a little bit of light through the top of that one, which we need to try and keep, and that can go down into nothing. So that pretty much sorts that one out. Let's just look at the rest of this here. We're coming down the side here, and I think I sort of stupidly forgot that little area, in the sense where we're going to have that little light mark that's going to create a little mark through there. I need a little bit of light to run through there. Let's put that on, keep this coming on through here, take it down under there, and so we've got that nice little bit of light we've left. We're going to be doing the same thing to other areas through here as well. We've got this underneath here, got a little bit of light running down the edge of that crossbar. We can't see one on this. This is a solid piece, but it doesn't, yes it does, it goes right across here. So we're going to take that all the way down through, all the way down to meet the bottom there. And we're going to do a very similar thing here, but we're going to leave a little bit of light. So the light's coming from here, and leave that little bit of light on the top of the bar. So that's our natural highlight, and we're going to leave that all the way through to the bottom. And we're going to look at this area now. We've left the light on the top of each of these fences on the crossbars. Just taking that through there. Okay. Right, now then, let's just come down this side. We've got this area of the fence. There's no light hitting there. There is a little bit of light on the top, which I've lost that, so I'm going to have to put that back in if I want to keep that. I'm going to bring it down through here. A little bit of light on that bar. We're going to not lose that. We're not going to lose the light on the edge of this post here. Taking it all the way down. A very, very dry brush. Not deliberately I am actually losing a little bit of colour, so I was just trying to keep hold on to the last of it. Now I'm looking at this post. It's going to be quite dark, this post, but we're going to leave a nice light area to the very top of the post rail, and it goes through to the edge of that post. This will then come down through here, and we've got a nice bit of light that catches all the way through that edge there. Then again we catch up with it again underneath here, and it disappears into our grasses. Very much the same thing on here. We've got our post here with a little bit of light running down the side, and I have given it a couple of slots there, although I'm not sure if in fact they are there at all, but it seemed a nice idea. Now I can go back to my bird, and I put a little bit of dark in there. I don't want to lose that area. There's a little bit of dark between the two wings. I'm going to go back in with a bit of indigo, a little bit of violet into that. And now I'm going to come in and put that real chunky dark mark. Look at that. Wow. Bang. Right the way into that wing. Very, very quickly. One or almost one stroke. Taking that down to the bottom of the wings like that. That just sets that up really nicely. Going to look and see how far I need to take that up. Just blend it out into that area there. A little bit more water and a little bit of the cerulean blue just creeping into there. Okay, that's a little bit ambitious, I will say. But never mind, we can come back in with that. We haven't lost the thing. Just going to bring a little bit more of that blue. I'm going to pump a little bit of the dark into the top end of that. And just tweak that area there as it comes across. And you've got a nice bit of nice shape coming down the back there. Just straighten that up. Okay. And bring that down to the front part of our wings. So they're sort of very big wings, and they sort of come down to a lot of secondary feathers here and a lot of dark, but that's really quite nice. I quite like the contrast we've just created with that. We've still got to do a bit around the head, and we've still got to put one or two darker marks in, but that's pretty much sorted that out. I'm going to bring some blue violet into this mix now, and I'm going to come in with a second layer over this part of our fence post. And now sort of separate one post from another, and it really would pay to make sure that everything is dry before you do this, and I have been a little bit wrong on that, but hopefully we won't make any mistakes like that. I'm going to put a darker mark in there, but not the same dark mark as we're using here. Okay, I'm going to use darks down here, and all these darks now are starting to really electrify this painting. A little bit of light across the top of there. I'll keep that, come down with this post, and it's got a warm edge. I'm going to put a little bit of yellow, raw sienna, into the side of this. A little bit of reflected light in the wood as that comes down there into the grasses. And now I want to go back in with our blue violet colours, and let's just come back down in here and finish this job. And that should have gone pretty much to across, but I've shortened that bar. Down, down and down and into the grasses. There we go. Same colour, maybe a little more blue, I think. So let's come in with some cobalt into that mix. Maybe a touch more water, just get a little less total effect. I'm going to come down here, take that down and across there. Very quick marks, and just check the values a little bit. It's a little bit heavy, if I'm honest with you, so what I might just do, put a damp brush through there, just lift that up a little bit. If it's not quite right, we can come back and tweak it. Not the end of the world. Just bring that light down through there. And the darker we make some of these, then the more the lights on them will actually stand out. Right, so, and this one, of course, we already know comes down across all of those. And I'm going to bring that dark in there. Again, I think it's going to need a little bit of lightening. Like that. Okay, and a damp brush again, just to take that across there. And you see when I put that through my towel fingers, I flatten out like a chisel. Flattens out the brush like a chisel. Got to bring that light all the way through there on that post there. And we're going to bring the dark in there, just touches through there. And I've missed that one altogether. We'll put that in now. And it sort of, you don't actually see that side of it, I don't think, too much. Okay, let's just come down now and look at this post. Got a bit of dark under there, under that sort of lovely shaped piece. Down through like that and down again there. And that's the bottom of that post. Now again, I think I could do with a little bit more wet and a little bit more blue, just to lighten up this area here. I'm going to put that in there, taking it all the way down there. You can see that lovely bit of blue that's now just feeling its way in there. I'm going to lighten it now. I'm going to put a little bit of soft brush, damp brush through there, just to lift that off. Take that down like that. Take that down there as well in a very similar way. Don't want to make it too wet. We've already started to dry this, so we could come a cropper, but I think that just works. Alright, now we're going to look at the other fence panel, or the other post just there. Going to give that more than it's got already. It needs to be a lot darker. So more cobalt this time, coming into it. A little bit of light. Now I ought to really, I suppose, wait until that other area is dry. So I'm going to take it up within a whisker. Take it then down through like that. And down to the top of that post, and then through here and down under there. Let's just do another little area over that, taking it down. We're almost there, we're almost done. We're not quite there yet though. So I'm going to come in with a bit more dark and blues on this one. Let's just come in there, top, down. Taking that lovely blue colour, but I'm going to add some warms as this comes down now. A little bit of Indian red, a little bit of the sienna, just getting into that mix as that comes down. Okay, that's fine. Just leave that be. A little bit of the dark to the top over here. And a little bit of warmth. Just a little tap of red colours in there. And then I'm coming down with more of the blues. So that, and leaving the light, of course, on that post. Take it all the way through that post there. Take it all the way down to the next one. Leaving that little bit of light through there. There's not much left of that light, if I'm honest. Taking it all the way down and into the grasses. A little bit more cobalt blue just to come down this side here and down this post like that. See where that goes. We may have to, I think I might just gently take off a little bit off there. And a little bit down through there as we go, and leave it at that. Got a nice feeling about this gate, nice feeling about the bird. All I want to do now is, when this is dried off, we'll just put the finishing touches on and it's a done deal. Right, we are almost there. I want to, if I can, just put in a couple of the dark areas, and I'm using a very strong mix of indigo, and I'm going to put into that some the lovely burnt sienna, a lot more indigo. I want to really make a sticky black almost. Quite dark, but I want it to be really, really strong. And I'm just going to come in and carefully just draw the nice dark stripe mark up to and around the eyes, and just come in, miss the eyes, and not actually going to paint them, just a little bit through there with a sharp edge. That gives us the basic structure to that. A little bit more blue into that mix now, and I'm going to come in here and put in the dark shoulder marks. Very, very quickly put in. I'm not labouring this at all. I don't need to, just putting in those marks there. Just, we know what the bird is. We don't need to describe every subtle change to the bird. I'm just going to put in the lovely sort of marks down the chest, down the back side of that other wing there, and in and around the tail. Nice and dark through there. Got the second part of the other wing coming down at that point, and then let's just put in the one leg that he's standing on, like so. It goes up in between the two wings, of course, and then just quickly tap in the back leg and the front toes as they come out, the three forward toes like that, and they are really long, sort of coming down into the on the edge of the fence, clamping it. You don't see the other foot because what's happening here is that he's got it tucked up, and by tucking it up he's just giving a little bit of a plume there of his feathers. He's just pushed them out. But I do need to come in here with a little bit of white body colour right at the end of this painting just to finish that off. I do need to put in a bit of dark that I'm just going to work very closely to the beak and get that in like that. Being very, very careful at this stage. One quickly wrong move will wreck the whole thing. Okay, I'm not unhappy with that, that's fine. Put a bit more blue in there if I can. Take a little damp brush and come back into that a little bit. Put that down and bring that back out through this section here. A little bit more information into the back of the bird there. Just soften that, and then come in with a bit of a darky blue colour just under there. Oh, that's way too much the wrong colour. I don't know where I picked that up from, but we can work very, very quickly. We can just put that in, and then with a damp brush we can ease and tease. There we go. Giving that nice area right up to the throat. He's got his chest all tucked in like that. Just a little bit of blue there, just missing. I'm just going to come in with a damp brush, just lift a little pigment off, give it a little extra light as it dries, and that's done. Just one thing that is missing, just to re-establish that little dark mark between the back end of the wings, like so. Come around there and into that area. That's it on that area. Just suggesting, I think I might put in another sweep of dark there. Like it. Good. Right, the bird, I think, bar the shouting, is done. I think the eye is a little set back where I've suggested. I'm going to bring that forward a little bit more there. Take that there. And then bring him that way. There we go. I think that's better. More heron-like, I think, at the end of the day. So it's going to draw in maybe where the seer goes, the beak there. Keep looking at it, and I'm sort of wanting to paint the eye in, but there's just so little space to do that, so I'm not going to try, I don't think. just come back in, a bit more of a mix, a bit more the orange, like that. Okay, take off the worst, just come in and shape up that dark. Being very careful, one false move at this point and the whole thing is in the bin. I'm going to come with a smaller brush just to make sure that I don't wreck this. They're very easy done at this point. Okay, so I'm just going to come back in and just give my beak a nice shape. I think it's just gone a little bit screwy right at the end there. Let's just get this finished off. Just put a little dark mark split down there. A couple of little splits in the wood just to finish off the detail. A little bit of split there just to make it look as though it is split, and we've got the end arc on there, just like that. And there was another one, I've missed it, never mind. Put a little shadow underneath there, underneath that post, underneath there. That's a suggestion. A little bit of dark on this side of here, and a little bit to suggest those little slots. A little more dark around here on one or two areas. And the foot we've got is fine. And I want to put the dark accent, don't I, under there. So let's just put that in. This is the dark underside to the bar. And we don't really see any more than that. We've got a little bit of a shadow across there, which we'll just put that in. Another one on there, we'll just put that in. Just gives a bit more three-dimension. We've got a little bit of an end to that and there. A little bit of, I actually missed that one. That one should come through. So never mind. I've got that bar the wrong side, but we'll have to forgive that one, I'm afraid. Nice big split on this. There's a bit of dampness into the top of that timber onto the post. And that comes all the way down through. And a big split onto that one. And then we've got a straight edge, curve, but that is almost lost. So to that end, I'm going to come in and just put a bit of a darker shape there, and then the underneath there and there, and then we've got just a little bit of gap of dark where it touches the wood. Okay, I think we're done. I can't think that I need to do any more. Otherwise I'm just going to be overworking it. I think there's a piece of timber here that's sticking out. That's why I left that little white mark in my drawing. Just put a little bit there. And just a little bit of dark there. Now all I've got to do is a bit of body colour. And we're sorted. So I'm going to use the gouache. Again, I don't like using too much. Can easily overdo things. Just want to put in the that lovely bit of light around the top of the head of this bird that's lost a little bit. A little bit of light just under the throat there, and putting a little bit more in over one or two areas of the back as it comes down. Got a little bit lost, but it's always a good thing to recover. Nice recovery. And a little bit of light on there, on that post. I think there's another post if I can remember. Lost a little bit of light to there, and just a little bit of light onto the top of that. Not that much, maybe. I think that's fine. I don't think we need to worry too much more. Oh yes, there was something really important. There we go. I completely forgot these lovely little feathery pieces out of the front end there. A bit like the beautiful other herons, the egrets that we enjoy, the great white egret and the others that are in the UK, the little egret, and of course things like the snowy egret from the US and others. Just that little bit of light in there. That's all that needs, just to really make that bird pump. Okay, now the beak is a yellow beak in normal time, in normal light, so I'm just going to suggest just that if I can get away with this. Picked up a bit of the white gouache, but I'm just going to put in almost a bit of sense of yellow there on the top of that beak. Doesn't want much, just enough to do it. Okay, we're sorted, we're done. I'm just going to sign this now. There we are. Now I hope you've enjoyed this. I do hope you've got something from it. It's always a lot of fun doing pictures of birds. They are wonderful things to watch and observe in the garden, but even more special to be able to paint them. So as I say, if you like what you've seen here and you want more, then just put it in the comments under this that you would like some more bird paintings done by me, and I'll be happy to oblige you, I'm sure. And you can also have them done in oil. So there we are. You could put more into different pieces, but I didn't want this to really go on much longer than it has done. Now you can just about see here the difference in the paper from that and the very faint wash that was put in. But anyway, there we are. One heron sitting on a fence in Old Marshes. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you got something from it. As I said just now, the reference to this will be on my Patreon channel. If you're not a patron, it doesn't matter. It's free to download, providing you're using it to learn from. Free to download and use, so I'll put this reference up for you. Have a go at this yourself, and I hope you enjoy the process. So in the meantime, all I do is wish you happy painting, stay safe, have a lot of fun with your art. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Back to what used to be home, passing by those little towns I know so well, stopping for gas and then I'm behind the wheel again. Driving is like a spiritual cleanse, where every mile is a new beginning and every bend holds a new end.